Hey, welcome to another Proven Sales Letter Breakdown video. Today we're taking a look at another Gary Halbert piece. In case you haven't heard of him and you've been living under a rock, he's one of the greatest copywriters ever. And I love his style because it's so expressive, it's so emotional, and that's why we have headlines that say, how to keep your money from being murdered. So think about it. What a nice fascination. How to keep your money from being murdered, right? And then you have a little image that really complements this headline amazingly well with a machete just cutting dollar bills. Like, what else do you want to get attention? Sometimes you don't really have to use a super complex headline. It's enough to just say something that gets people's attention. That's it. So this was written by Gary Halbert in 1974. And the whole premise behind this, the problem that this ad is trying to address is that inflation was pretty rampant in those times, okay? So if you check historic graphs for inflation, in the 70s, it was pretty high, like 5, 6, 7, 10%, even higher. So this is actually turning out to be somewhat relevant to today in 2021 because a lot of people are afraid of inflation, higher inflation nowadays as well. But the big difference is that back in those days, even like with a simple savings account, you could earn an interest of 5%, maybe 6%, something like that. Well, now, even with bonds, you only earn like 1% interest or even less. And in the European Union, you have negative interest rates. While at the same time, inflation way outpaces that because inflation officially is around 2% or something like that, but unofficially, it usually gets a bit higher because of how these calculations work. Look it up. But anyway, this is the big problem here. And then what this ad does, it was a newspaper ad, is that it it tries to sell a book called How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. So again, you gotta give it to Gary. Like, what a nice title for a book, right? How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. Coupled with the headline, How to Keep Your Money from Being Murdered, it adds those visceral little elements that make it memorable, right? So if you like this type of thing, then you should also definitely like the video as well. So leave a like below. And also, if you're new to the channel and you're enjoying these things, or you want to get more of these videos, then definitely subscribe to the channel because I'm releasing these videos daily now, and that way you'll be the first to know when I release a new one. Also, share this with others if you think that they would laugh after reading this type of headline. But let's get into the ad itself and let's see what's happening here. It's a pretty straightforward ad. It's not long at all, but I think it's a great example for something like landing page, maybe an advertorial, maybe even a Facebook ad type of thing. But obviously there you have more potential problems with compliance. So you definitely got to look into that. But for a landing page, this could be pretty good. So that's why I wanted to show it to you, is that even if, this ad is 50 years old, basically you can still really use almost all of it. And as we go through it, notice how easy to read it is, how easy it flows. That was one of Gary's great maxims, is that you cannot really be boring in your copy and you cannot really make it hard to understand, because if it's hard to understand, it won't work. And especially, it doesn't matter what audience you have, even if you have super sophisticated audiences, PhDs, it doesn't matter. They still won't invest the time, the work, the mental work necessary to decode your ad too much. But obviously, Gary was writing a lot of times for very, let's just say, unsophisticated audiences, or like people who just want to make money, and for them, you have to make it even easier to understand. So let's see what's happening here. We start up with a problem agitation solution framework. So we have a problem in the first paragraph, then we agitate it with various ways. There are actually 3 specific agitation mechanisms here, all debunking various other solutions that aren't really working either, because at this point a lot of people would be like, okay, so I'll just do this. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, then I'll just do that. No, it still won't work. And then finally we get the solution as well after even more agitation. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's not long at all. If you are lucky enough to have any money set aside, for a rainy day and you're keeping it in a savings account, you are really losing money hand over fist. So this is the problem, and it also qualifies people with the first sentence. Your money is probably earning about 5.25% interest. Since inflation is averaging 8% to 10% a year, you are not even breaking even. And the way things are this year, it can only get worse. So this already sets up the agitation a little bit of the problem. Then we put it into context because, yeah, inflation is gonna get worse. So what? I don't care. Like, I can't really see it with my own eyes. Well, that's why Gary contextualizes it by saying, do you realize that you have to spend $1.49 to buy as much steak as you could buy for $1 only a few months ago? Now this gets people thinking. They're going to be like, oh yeah, I've been to the store and everything seems to be more expensive. Like, what's up with that? Well, that's inflation. So then we agitate more and we start discrediting other solutions. It goes like this. If you have any money invested in the stock market, you are really asking for it. 18 months ago, Winnipeg was considered one of the safest of the blue chip stocks in the New York Stock Exchange. $1,000 invested in this safe stock only a year and a half ago, as of writing, would have shrunk to 145, and hundreds of stocks have done even worse. So naturally, at this point, most people think, I'll just put my money in the stock market, right? Like what they're doing today, which creates a bubble, but the bubble can pop. And we immediately discredit that. Then what about bonds? Because at this point, people are like, okay, well, I'm just going to put it in government bonds. Well, not really. And the same thing is true today, by the way. What about US savings bonds? As an investment, they are really a joke. 10 years ago, if you had invested $1,000 of your hard-earned money in Series E government bonds, you would have by now earned only $744 a year in purchasing power. Yeah, not so good either, right? And then we do the third discrediting. Well, how about keeping your money hidden in an old sock under the mattress? Had you tucked away $1,000 in this matter in 1957, by now your purchasing power would have dropped a full 40%. Are things about to get better? So this really gets people thinking, wow, I cannot really do stocks, I cannot really do bonds, I cannot save my money under the mattress. What can I do? So then Gary does one more powerful agitation so that at this point people are starting to feel the squeeze, and he gives it to them real hard. The year 1947 promises to produce the highest inflation rate in the last 22 years. Prices, as you may have noticed, are going nowhere but up. Some, like meat and gasoline, are going right out of sight. The same is true today as well, by the way. You see how history repeats itself all the time. It's so nice. We can learn so many things about these historic sales letters. The plain fact is that your money is in more danger right now than at any time since 1929. So at this point, the 1929 Great Depression may have still been on people's minds, or their parents at least experienced it. So it was more of a scare compared to today. But this little thing does a great job at agitating the problem. So then we transition to the solution. Like, we're basically asking for it. Well, Gary is asking several philosophical questions. He's kind of like the song, I need a hero. Who's gonna save me, right? I need a savior. So is there a way out? Is there any place at all to put your money where it is safe? Where will it earn enough interest to keep ahead of inflation? Where you can get it instantly in case of an emergency? Is there? You bet there is. So there, after the philosophical questions, we get the answer. And we get a surprising answer, because this ultimately keeps the reader reading. That's what you want, the reader to read more of your copy. So it goes like this. The answer is going to surprise you. The best place to keep your money is probably the same place you are keeping it now, in your bank in a savings account. You've got to start doing things a little differently, however. So it's going to surprise you. It's going to be different. This one is like, what? I didn't know that the solution was so simple, but then you have to do it differently. So there is a twist. It is easy, but there is a twist to it. And in order to discover the twist, obviously, you're going to have to get the book. So then we continue. Here is just one of the things you can do if you know how. You can go to your bank, take your savings, fill out a new deposit ticket, put the money right back into another savings account and increase the interest on your savings from 6 to 15%, all in one day. Hard to believe, isn't it? But this is just the beginning. So what's happening here? We basically give people a bold promise. And normally you would follow this up with proof. So there's not really much proof in this ad. And to be honest, like I think Gary Benson always says that you should try to find one thing that you can improve in an ad. Well, I know that there were definite space constraints for this ad. Okay, so the harder thing with older copywriters was that they really had to make every single word fight for its place, right? Because it was a newspaper article, and if you were to cross the line, you would have to pay for another page, which is super expensive, by the way. So nowadays on the internet, you can make your sales letter as long or as short as you want. But back in those days, it wasn't possible. So I'm missing a little bit of proof here and after it because there's just a promise with some fascinations. But maybe Gary decided that there's not enough space for it, and I don't know. But I think it would definitely make the ad way stronger. So hard to believe, isn't it? But this is just the beginning. Listen to all of this. And then we have some benefits. They're not quite fascinations. They're more like value given away as benefits. They say stuff like, when you open a new account, you can get 10 bank gifts instead of 1. You can withdraw your money and still earn interest on it. Wow. How can I do that? That's interesting. You can have 2 savings accounts paying you interest at the same time on the same money. You can earn interest on money you have spent months ago. You can earn more money on your checking account than most people earn on their savings account. Interesting. You can earn interest on the money people have on deposit. And all of this is perfectly legal. So this is an objection handling preemptively, because at this point people are like, wait a minute, that sounds great, but isn't this illegal? Isn't there some shady stuff going on here? Well, Gary preemptively answers that objection by saying, no, it is legal. And whenever you're dealing with tax stuff or financial stuff like this, how to hack the financial system, it's always a good idea to highlight how, this is legal, it's fine. And then we continue this up with a little so-called reason why copy. Again, I talked about reason why copy many times before. By the way, you can find I mention it in almost every single video, so if you want to check it out in more detail, link to the entire playlist under this video. There you can find many great videos from many amazing copywriters. But in this case, we just have a simple reason why, which basically explains why this whole thing exists. It says everything you will be doing is not only permitted, but actually encouraged by banks and other financial institutions, because the more money you make, the more money they make. So it adds justification to the whole thing. Okay, I see the reason why this makes sense for the banks as well. Okay, so then it makes sense for me as well. In fact, they use these techniques themselves. This is kind of a proof element. And during all this, your money will be insured 100% by the US government. So this is kind of like a risk reversal. Like it's an objection handling that, hey, don't worry, this is legal and your money is protected. And then we have a line which I love. I think it's the MVP here. All this is carefully explained in the new book titled How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. I love this title for a book, How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. It gets people's attention. It's like All Marketers Are Liars, written by a cool marketer called Seth Godin. So it's great. And then we have some a little bit of proof elements, some authority build up behind the writer of the book. The book was written by an Ohio school teacher named George Jenny, as part of a research project for a publishing company. So if it's a research project, it kind of assumes credibility and it kind of like makes people feel like, oh, okay, research equals developing something new, a new breakthrough. So I guess I'm interested in that. And then we have a very important line that highlights how this is easy, because think about it. We're talking about financial hacking, like financial optimization. A lot of people, especially in Gary's general audience, like they're afraid of this stuff. They're not really PhD financial analysts or something like that. So it's very important to highlight that this is easy, it works for anyone. So that's why Gary says the book is easy to read, easy to understand, and can lead you step by step to a new financial independence. The book is not available at stores or newsstands. So what's happening here? As I said, we make it easy, works for anyone, and not available for at any other place. Basically means that you should act now, because if you want this, there's only one place to get it, and it's here. So then we get an urgency style of call to action. Gary says you can get a copy if you hurry. So this presupposes that there's urgency here by sending your name and address and $6.95 in cash, check, or money order payable to, and then we have the company. So this is standard stuff in these types of ads at that time, just telling people what to do, where to send their money to. And then we have some brief ordering instructions, like what's going to happen step by step after they order. So the book will be sent to you promptly by return mail. The publisher guarantees that this book will show you how to at least double the earning power of your money. So we have very, very, very brief ordering instructions. Again, it's usually best to expand this, but due to space constraints, maybe it wasn't possible here. But then we also have the promise of the guarantee plus promise, so that you can get it risk-free. And you have the guarantee to at least double the earning power of your money. And then we also have a money back guarantee as well. So we have a promise type of guarantee, but we have a risk reversal type of guarantee as well. So Gary says, if not, or for any reason you are dissatisfied, you can return the book for a full and immediate refund of your entire purchase price. You can't lose. So it's basically setting it up as a win-win situation. Send for the book today. This is the very simple call to action. Remember, now more than ever, you have a real money fight on your hands, and it is only going to get worse. So we just remind people of the problem, but then we also remind them of the solution by saying, here is a chance to put the odds on your side. So remember, there's a fight on your hands. You got to do something, and here is your unique new opportunity, the chance to put the odds on your side by hacking banks, basically, in a good way. So that's the ad. As you can see, it's not really that super sophisticated or complicated, but the writing itself is super sophisticated in a good way. It takes a lot of work and a lot of copywriting chops to really be able to write so well, gather your thoughts so that it's logical, it flows well, it's easy to understand. It takes a lot of practice, believe me, to get there. But the structure of it's pretty simple. It's just problem, agitation, solution, building some desire, and giving them the offer, a little bit of urgency, risk reversal, call to action. That's it, basically. It's very simple, but the headline itself really does it for me. How to keep your money from being murdered, and the name of the book itself, How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. This one's shorter, finally, but hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also share this with others if they're interested in Gary Halbert ads or any other type of marketing or copywriting related stuff. It definitely helps a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.